Hello, friends, and welcome to another video lesson from DBOS Talks. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe and please click the bell so that you can be notified of new uploads. If you have seen the previous video on this same playlist in this same channel, then you might have seen the video about ceiling function, which is simply spelled CEIL, short for ceiling. And you can consider this as a continuation of that video. Otherwise, it's talking about a function which is related to that function. So the previous function is called ceil, which is short for ceiling. This one is floor. They are both referring to parts of a house, and they both happen to be SQL functions. Okay. So what is a floor function in SQL? A floor function, one way to put it is that it rounds down a non-integer numeric value to the nearest integer, meaning if you have a numeric value with a decimal value to it, with a float value to it, then if you apply the floor function, it will give you the nearest lower integer value, okay, whole number. Now let's see how it works. So non-integer numeric value. Here we have a typical select statement, select using the floor function. And within that function, the parameter I'm passing is the numeric value, which I want to be rounded down to the nearest integer. Okay, so select floor, the value itself 50.47 from dual table. So this is a non-integer numeric value. An integer is a signed whole number. It may be positive, it may be negative, but it is a whole number. That's an integer. This is not an integer because it has a decimal value to it. It has a float value. So let's see what happens. Okay. So select floor 50.47. It rounds down, as I mentioned, that value to the nearest integer, which is 50. Okay. If you want to get some perspective, I can display them side by side here, the before and after, if you will. So select 50.47 and the floor value of that from dual. So you'll see the first column being displayed, a value being displayed, is the original value, 50.47, and next to that is the one after the floor function has been applied to it, okay? Now let's see expressions that result. Here, it's a hard-coded value, 50.47. Our next example is not one kind of value, but an expression, okay? Expression that results to a non-integer numeric value. Again, integer is a signed whole number. So where's the expression here? Is this one, 25/8. And if you have seen my previous videos on maybe on math in SQL, then you will know that the slash is the operator for division. Okay, so here it's an expression 25 divided by 8. Unlike our previous example, which is just a static one kind of value, one value. Here it's an expression. So select 25/8 from dual. This will result to, if you can imagine, it will not result to an exact quotient, but one that will contain a decimal value. Okay, let's do this. So it results to 3.125, which is, it contains a float value, or you can call it a decimal value. It's a good candidate for you if you want to use the floor function to this one. So let's see. Let's add the floor function on the same expression, and I'll put them side by side. You select 25/8, comma, floor, and then the expression, the same one from dual table. So the first value being displayed is the original value, 25 divided by 8, which is a division operation resulting to 3.125, a number with a float value or the decimal value. And next to that is the result of, after applying or using the floor function on the expression 25/8. which is 3, which is a round down, if you will, is a rounded down value of 3.125, which is the nearest smaller integer value. Okay, so that's it. And then the next example you'll be looking at is this. If the value is already an integer, then the expected result is that the value will not change because it is already an integer. So select floor. Inside that, of course, is the value I want to pass as a parameter, which is an integer in this case. In this case, 987, which is a whole number. It doesn't have a decimal value to it. So select floor 987 from dual table. So nothing happens, as if nothing happens. In fact, the floor function goes to work when you execute this, and it is still trying to do its work of rounding down the value. But since there is no float value, there is no decimal value to the one you're passing as a parameter to this function, then it seems as if nothing happens. But it's just that there's nothing to be done because already there is no decimal value to be trimmed off from this value, okay? So we have seen 3 scenarios of using the floor function, which is an SQL function, mathematical function, number function, okay? So the first example was using it on non-integer numeric values. And the second is one that results to a non-integer numeric value. The third is using an expression. Second is using an expression, which is 25 over 8, okay? So that's it. We've learned about the floor function, which is not necessarily a continuation of the ceil or ceiling function, but they are related. They're opposites, okay? So thank you for watching and listening. If you haven't subscribed, please click subscribe, and I will be seeing you in the next video.